as you all know, the Smart Building certification is founded in science, refined by practice, constantly optimized by our network of experts. And today we have Antonio Vega from ENAPPGY here, which we're really excited about. ENAPPGY has been part of the ecosystem from the beginning. So we've actually gone through the solution certification before. We've actually published about it in a publication. So we have explained what the ENAPPGY platform does. But today we're going to take a little bit of a different slice out of it. We're going to talk about the ENAPPGY business and how it's evolved and how it's grown since we've certified more than a year ago now, I think. So it's really a pleasure to have Antonio here. And just to give you all a quick synopsis of the SBC framework, as we always do, we really look at how does smart technology support the asset in all kinds of different ways. Building usage is about how the building is being utilized, thinking about occupancy management and amenity usage. How can we actually track and trace how things are being used? Building performance is about energy optimization, water, sustainability metrics, making sure that the building performs as promised when it was designed. Building environment is all about health and well-being, thinking about indoor air quality and sound and light, making sure that the indoor environment is healthy for the users. Safety and security is all about the physical and the digital, both making sure that people are safe, but also making sure that the data is safe. So from a cybersecurity perspective. User behavior and collaboration is all about how individuals can interact with the building, but also interact with each other, which is extremely important in this day and age. And then all of that is brought together with connectivity and infrastructure, because without that, the whole smart building falls over. And integrative design, saying how can we, with the least amount of technology, maximize the value in all of these different areas. And if you remember the solution certification, and we'll put that in the solution certification of ENAPPGY in the link below. But if you can take a look at that, what you'll see is that ENAPPGY is extremely powerful tool for managing how an asset is being used, thinking about the sensors and how you can track how people are being moving about a space. It's all about efficiency and energy, making sure that we're correlating how an asset's being used versus how the energy is being consumed, thinking about the lighting and on-demand usage of the property. It's all about comfort for individuals, making sure that the right optimal usage, the right energy use is actually still delivering a very comfortable and healthy environment. They have a very astute focus on cybersecurity, making sure that that data is secure. And also the platform has been known in a lot of ways for security purposes, to see, you know, if you had a break-in, as an example, the day before, you can see exactly how that person moved about in the building. So there's a lot of really creative ways to use the platform. And then user behavior and collaboration, it's all about people and making sure that the asset is working for people. And ENAPPGY has a very astute focus on that. But we wanted to really summarize their solution certification quickly so that you remember kind of what their solution does. But now we want to dive into a little bit more of the past, the present, and the future of where we're going. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Antonio onto stage, and we're gonna talk about it in all of its glory. Hey, Antonio.
Hi, Nicolas. Good morning.
How are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you and to learn from you and to be tracking your incredible progress as a company. I think we've been connected now for close to 3 years, and you see
more or less, indeed.
Yeah, and you see how much ENAPPGY is changing and evolving and constantly adapting. But let's start a little bit from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit the story of how you got to where you are right now?
Yeah, good question.
Because you're the founder, right? You want to maybe introduce yourself to the people who don't know you.
Yes. Again, Antonio Vega. I'm co-founder from the company ENAPPGY. this journey started about 8 years ago, and we started with a different focus than what we currently do. I would say a more a more refined focus now, but at the end, it is pretty much what the market has been giving us as feedback, and that's how we have been evolving in the last 8 years. As I remember the first time we talked, we were going through a transition, specifically focusing on software instead of combining software and hardware inside the company. So the company started like that, more like an integrator, and really taking an important part in both sides of the spectrum, as well hardware as well as software. And yeah, how do we start? It is funny. I am for the people that of course don't know me. I am from Mexico. I come from Mexico, and the company is founded in the Netherlands. And this came as a project. Yeah, it has always been my goal after some experiences I had with climate change and what you can see as a result of every little thing that we are doing right now to our precious planet. And I always wanted to combine technology with doing something. In the university, I didn't really know what would that be. And it turned out, talking with more people, with more entrepreneurs, with the first founders, yeah, this idea of creating a company that can put a little grain into the solution. And this started 8 years ago, and everything started pulling me, I would say, to the Netherlands, where I reside now, where I live, and I'm happily married. So yeah, the company started like that. I mean, it's my own individual journey, challenges. Of course, you have to not only consider the difficulty to become known in a market that is new for you, but as well in a foreign market with another language, with another culture. So it was really challenging. But after 8 years, I think we have proven we have a good solution now. And right now, like I said, when we met 3 years ago, we did a restructuration in the company, where we decided to become a mainly focused software solutions company. So yeah, 8 years later, we're here. We're doing some really cool things, and I'm happy to be part of the community, and being able to join another companies that are also interested in delivering some positive impact in terms of climate change.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because you say, my little impact on this, environmental thing that's going on, and I think we're very aligned there, because I never thought I would be in smart buildings of all things, right? But when you think about it, it is the most inspiring, interesting place to be, because the impact can be massive. We're talking about one of the largest polluting industries in the world, and here we can actually have an impact on that sustainability piece.
And it's funny how I believe as human beings we don't we are not really aware of, I would say we don't understand what this could be. I mean, you can see all the numbers, all the statistics that you see in the world, but still it's not, you don't feel it really close to you. My own experience when I was in the university, I after I would say a hurricane at the coast of Mexico, I went to help there as a program from the university. But then when you see those little villages that had not that much, having nothing after just a really aggressive climate, nature moment, I would say, how powerful that is. It's unfortunate that we only then realize of what we're doing, because in day to day, I'll be honest, also myself, I forget, in which direction we're going. So yeah, it's difficult, it's exciting at the same time, and but it's still a huge problem that everybody should do something about it.
Yeah, I had a really amazing Friday last week. I did a guest lecture for NYU, and I was talking to these students who study, real estate, finance, sustainability, and they all kind of unanimously were like, yeah, sustainability, everybody says they want to do it, but they don't want to do it, or they don't do it, so why not? why are they why are they reluctant to dive into that sustainability piece? What is your experience actually with that?
I believe, if we're honest with ourselves, and that's something I've struggled as well in personally and inside the company, is that everything comes down to, it has to be a profitable business. Sustainability must be a profitable implementation. So at the moment, I believe at the beginning I was too naive, I would say. I was really focusing a lot more in what is your responsibility as a customer, as a potential partner for your real estate, for your portfolio. What is your current CO2 footprint, and what should you do? And yes, we did some implementations and some projects, but it was not until we translated that to money and translated that to benefits, real, something that the customer can feel. Until that is when we start to see a really, representative increase in the amounts of amount of impact kilowatt hours that we were saving per project and in multiple projects. So I think that is okay. There are many ambientalists and many people that are trying to, from a different angle, to approach the problem. But it is, if we study our history, it is not until somebody makes a business out of it that creates more wealth around that it really becomes a solution. So that's again something that I struggled with at the beginning, and now we're trying. Every time we come to a project, every time we first have to, we try to sit with everybody in the decision-making unit and understand their parts, because when I say profitable, I don't only mean money. It's also a question of what does HR has to say about it, what the IT department has to say about it, the security instances, of course. So there are many. We have to make this really feasible. In that way, it has to be really real in order to make it happen. Otherwise, just hanging on in the flag of we have to be sustainable, we have to take care of the world, we have to take care of the future, it's not gonna work. And that's a transition that we have seen in the last 8 years. That every time more and more companies, they are of course interested in doing their part, but they see that as a benefit, and that's okay. That should be the way things work at the end.
Yeah, and it makes me really hopeful, right? Because I think if we look at our ecosystem just in the community and the companies that we work with, everyone is kind of getting on that mindset of like, it needs to financially make sense. It needs to make sense for the business, for the story that's being told by the company. And we're being supported by a lot of regulation that's coming out, right? With the ESG and
really interesting. Yeah.
And the different things that are going on in the US as well. So I think there's a lot to be hopeful about. There's a lot to be positive about, but it is interesting. And you being 8 years at doing this, right? That makes you one of the longest running prop techs at the moment. It's still such a young industry. What would you say if you look back at that 8 years? What has changed? What has been the fundamental transformation in that process?
Yeah, it is a combination of factors, but at the end of the day, it's more consciousness about what the value is. I remember the first conversations we had with some contractors, for example, trying to find these partnerships in the market, and they yeah, sometimes those conversations still happen, but still in the old way of thinking of no, this is the way we do things. Is that little story about the caveman pushing a car, a square with square wheels, and no, I'm busy. Don't give me your round wheel. So I see that every time people understand and companies understand that more and more, that it is not about how things have been done until now, but the new ways that you can implement and actually, again, deliver a positive impact in climate, but as well a benefit inside your organization. So that mentality has been again a journey from having only those conversations that is only price based, and I want to cheap, the cheapest of what you have, and that's it. I don't care for anything else. Whilst at this moment, the conversations that we have is more about value. It's more about, okay, I want to ensure comfort for my employees inside an office building, for example, or I want to ensure that it is possible to guarantee the best conditions for students in order to get class to perform the best they can in a classroom. So it's another kind of question. At the beginning was more really simple based on money, and now it is still important, of course, but there are another aspects attached to it, and that's really interesting. Yeah.
So the focus is growing. Actually, it's becoming more holistic, I think.
Yeah, and I believe also the technologies that are available in the market right now are normally proven technologies. So that means that we already have a track record of different kind of sectors, and now it's just an extension of that. So I believe at this moment we're in the right moment to really explode as a market and really making the standards. For example, it still doesn't make sense to me when I come to a building and they don't even have sensors there. Oh, they are minimum sensors, and they are not even reading the data. Sometimes they have the sensors and they don't do anything with the data. So it is. I'm really excited for all the regulations that are coming, and all the governmental, because that complements something that we didn't have 8 years ago. So now I believe we're in the right moment to really make a difference together.
Yeah, absolutely. So within the smart building certification, one of the modules we have is called Maturity of Smart. And it's all about, it's one thing to have a sensor on the wall that gives you a little bit of insight and a little bit of understanding of what's going on, your CO2 levels or your humidity or temperature. It's a whole nother thing to have that sensor speak to the HVAC system and BMS, speak to your room booking and make sure that all of that information is coming together to create algorithms that are AI driven. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting to see in the market right now that buildings and it's interesting to say buildings, it's actually organizations behind buildings, because they're the ones who are using that technology. They're just kind of all over the place on that spectrum of using technology. And what are you seeing? Do you see more and more moving towards having it ingrained in their business process and thinking about it in that holistic way? Or do you find us still primarily, it's still insight, it's still an experiment, it's still, trying things? I'm willing to try.
Yeah, look, I still see both scenarios. It is true that every time what we all created in this market is first there was nothing, and now there is a lot of options. So now it is really confusing for end users to decide what do they need to do and what would they like to do, totally different things. So because there are so many options now in the market, which is good, we need to find that integration within each other's and with each other's in during implementations, and of course for the exploitation of the uses of the buildings, of the infrastructure in the future. So solutions that are currently not yet open to integrate are doomed to fail. That's I mean, it's not something I say, it's just what you see in the statistics. And there are still big companies that are kind of I don't know if it's conscious or unconsciously selling a lock-in, and customers are starting to realize that that's not the way to move forward. So from the customer's perspective, as a competition in the market, that has to stop. But it's still a fact that many companies are still not yet ready to open and to integrate with other systems, which we will see what happens in the future. But I'm betting on the openness and integration will be more and more crucial.
Well, and it's primarily the big companies, right, that are keeping it closed, and it's all the small companies that are more open. And how do you see that those two pools kind of driving innovation? How do you guys manage that? Do you guys work with big companies, or do you just say, no, we'll work with more medium, smaller companies because it's more
for us is the combination is ideal. We are completely hardware agnostic, hardware independent from trademark or whatever. We can pretty much integrate with anything, any third-party system that is necessary for the building. And we have both integrations both with big companies and with smaller companies. And as part of the integration, I believe both are necessary because the experience of the big companies and sometimes the reach of those big companies is necessary for smaller companies to also get along. And the flexibility and speed of the small companies can really bring innovation that later on can be profited by the big companies. So the combination of both is in my opinion, the best way to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of discussion at conferences at the moment about I tried working with this company or this small company and kind of got burned. Smart is it's worthless. It doesn't work, and there's kind of this tarnishing aspect happening at the moment. How do you guys kind of work through that at the moment when customers are feeling like they tried it doesn't work for them, right? The industry hasn't been around for long, so there are some moments of companies not delivering as they promise, but what's your read on that at the moment? How do we as an industry kind of move past these kind of growing pains? Because I think in any entrepreneurship, in any industry, there's these pains of pushing through these moments.
Yeah, it is challenging. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I may have said that the solution would be to only work with big companies because they have warranties. It's really unlikely that they're gonna go bankrupt. But literally a year and a half ago, with one of the biggest suppliers of sensors worldwide, which we also have a partnership with, that part of the company went bankrupt. So even for the big companies, that's a challenge, that's a risk, that's a moment of decisions for them, it is profitable or not. And that brings a lot of challenges. For us is fortunately our side of the solution, where we keep everything open, like I say, like a data lake, if you can see it like that. You can still get the data, etc. But that doesn't mean that it's really complicated to move forward. So I believe it's maturity, and the growth pain that we are experiencing is normal. And in what I've seen, at least in the last 8 years, that is, we are getting there. We are almost at the end of the solutions that are proven, the solutions that are implemented, and the ones that just fell down. And it's going to happen kind of a cleanup in the industry.
Yeah, you feel it?
Yeah, I start see, yeah, every time. Look, it is really easy for every company, of small or big, to deploy or to do an implementation of a really small building. You know, if that can be done pretty much, but by 99% of all the solutions in the market. But it is when the customer really understand what is the value of that, when they have more square meters, when they have more requests or more expectations from the smart component in the implementation, that everybody starts to, you know, like, okay, sorry, I don't deliver that. Oh yeah, I do that, but I do it through my partner. So
Yeah.
it
It's that
is
maturity of smart, right? It becomes
exactly,
more important for the company buying the solution, that it's
yeah,
no longer an experiment. It's no longer, I'm just trying something. No, I need this for my business, you
yeah.
know, and if you don't deliver it, then I need to go somewhere that does.
And again, it is not only what challenging is that there's not only it is not only one person that says that. It's a team, and they have individually in their company units, they have their own necessities or expectations. So it is really important for us to understand that before even mention an integration or a piece of software, that we talk to them, and we really make we have a really good communication about what they expect individually to achieve with this, and if they are ready to make those transformations. Because yeah, there's almost nothing so difficult for a human being than accept change, and this means change, not only in the sense of okay, we're going to become sustainable, but we're going to become sustainable, and we're going to have sensors measuring how we use the building. Do we agree on that? Oh, what do you HR have to say about that? Oh, but employees, okay, are we agree or not? Do we agree or not? And how can we ensure that we still get data, valuable data that we can use for these improvements, but anonymally, that is not conflicting with the interests of the other units in the company.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I mean, if I turn around right now, I feel like more and more solutions are coming onto the market, right? There's more and more brands, there's more and more logos, and they all do a lot. And they all say they're smart building, which is interesting because how do you define smart building? If we were to jump and put our butts in the seats of the ones buying this technology, what would you say? How should they start? How should they go about figuring out smart building and figuring out how to make it work for them?
Yeah, I would say if I could stay in their shoes, stand in their shoes, I will start by inviting two, three companies, and let them tell me. Of course, they need to do an inventarization of the current situation, but make some proposals and really ask through the first layer of the proposal. The first layer, okay, this is the software, and you may need these sensors. Okay, but why? What is really what do I want to achieve? And of course, get a concrete overview of the benefits in money as well in the CO2 impact. So therefore, I'm really happy that companies like yours and certifications and everything that is happening around the technology, not only technology itself, but around, is going to help to clarify this for the customers. So yeah,
Well, and we're simplifying it, right? When we say, oh, if you're a building looking for smart technology, but I think you hit on it, a minute ago, where it's the situation on that side is completely different, right? You have the company that's just starting to think about this stuff and has really no real idea of how to go about it. And then you have the ones that have a team, 10 people already in place, know exactly what they want to do. They know their process. They know what kind of data they need, these types of things. So how do we guide them? Or maybe that's a good question for you all as ENAPPGY. How do you take these teams through that process, and how do you meet them where they are? Because I think from an innovation perspective, from a culture perspective, from a process perspective, it can be really, really daunting to think, humans don't like change, right? I mean, that's basic. And we know, and you and I have bet our entire careers that smart is a smart thing to do, but change is scary. So how do you meet them where they are, and how do you support them in that process?
We start always by inventorizing what the situation is. One of the benefits that we have as a company is that we are, again, hardware agnostic. That means that we can reuse the current infrastructure that exists already, and I don't have any commitment to selling a specific kind of hardware. We are focusing the software part, and the integration is what helps us to really unbiased, I would say, take a look at the current situation of the building and decide together with the customer if we can reuse the hardware, or we need to invite somebody else that it brings the hardware in. But it starts everything with those conversations, not only with one of the persons in the decision making unit, but at least two or three of them that are from different parts of the company that again have the specific necessities or expectations about the implementation. So based on that, then we can provide first options and say, okay, this is the option A, option B. This is what you are expecting now. This is what we will recommend, and based on that, you can take an informed decision.
Yeah. Do you get involved with the human side? Because I think that, the technology, what it can do and all of the goals and those types of things are nice. But if somebody doesn't use it, then, it's all for naught. Do you get involved in the human side?
Yes, but we do that only when it is possible, or is accepted from the customer, and you have to make time for this. So that's also a constant that nobody has time to invest. Everybody is busy. So when it's possible, we recommend to do that as well. Sometimes it is not possible, and we have to do everything through the contact person and to understand, okay, this is how this is going to work. This is what you can expect. We have done some videos to really make it easy for the end users to say, okay, now the smart building is doing this. If I want this, I have to click here. Or if I want to do this, I have to. This is because of that, etc. So informing always the end user is really important. We try to do that, but it is not always possible. It is not always possible.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was at the Smart Building Show in London a few weeks ago, and I listened to a really interesting talk about how do I fund my smart building? How do I pay for it? And the case study that was presented was really, really interesting, because what they did is they focused on energy consumption. They reduced energy to a very significant amount that it actually pays for the entire smart building infrastructure. And then they went and looked at, okay, what additional value cases can we generate on top of the smart building platform to get more value out of the smart building. And it's interesting, if we go back to that maturity of smart, you have, on one level, it's a bit of insight, it's getting some ideas. On the most extreme, most mature level, we're talking about completely new business models, completely new ways of generating revenue or saving costs. Do you guys agree with that strategy, or do you agree with that strategy? And how would you suggest a company go through that process?
Totally. That's the future. And there are just a few companies that are really doing something about that. We're fortunately working with some companies also in the UK that use our platform as a tool in order to get these performance as a service contracts. That's how they call them. Yeah, I believe that the old way of working, just sending an invoice per hour of my employees, is going to change drastically, and it is proven now that with less people you can do more if you have the right tools. So I've seen that. Again, there are not many companies that are in concrete doing something about that. They just are. Many companies are just waiting what's going to happen. But there are some companies also in the Netherlands that are really interesting to deliver these. One I remember a few months ago, one of our customers, his goal he's an installation company. They are an installation company, and their goal is to become an energy service company. So
Okay.
it's totally another way of seeing the market, and they are thinking about selling automated reports of the performance of the building. You know, it is totally another way of thinking, and for that you need leaders that dare to do that, to really promote that inside the company. They created their own smart building team inside the company. So it is really interesting to where this is going, and I believe that's going to happen eventually. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen really from one day to the other, but it's going to happen. That's for sure.
So you're actually talking about a new business model here,
Yes.
right? Because I think you have direct to building, right, with the FM team or whoever's in the building. But what you're talking about now is something in between.
Yeah, in this specific example is indeed a contractor that wants to absorb the risk for the end user on the side of the energy savings, and then sell value based on the software that is available. Yeah, it is great. I mean, that's their idea totally. Just
So
in this
it's, so
case,
it's
the tool.
using
Yeah.
your platform to create a completely new company that's more service
Yes.
oriented.
Yeah, and you are aware of the situation in the Netherlands about the nobody can find technical people anymore. Everybody's all the statistics in the universities that are pumping up again. Let's say potential technical workforce is going. I mean, reducing drastically. So
Yeah.
companies like these is already thinking ahead. Okay, in a couple of years, I want to have a problem. I'm not going to be able to find more people to deliver the same, not even more, the same business that we're doing now. So how do I solve that? And yeah, software is a really interesting way to do that.
Yeah, creating a bit of like a technical control room, and instead of sending people for every call, doing it from a distance and trying to solve
Yeah.
as much as possible from a distance.
Yeah, and look, it is proven, and that's what we see also in our projects. You can send 10 technicians, but they are not going to have the insight in the installation as you could have literally from your laptop. So having that an interface that you're able to cross-reference information and to see, I want to see, the temperature here, the temperature there, and maybe the energy consumption. And with that knowledge, you can see that there will be maybe something stuck in the installations, and something that you cannot see even when you are on location. One of our projects, a really funny story, but really quickly, the system detected that the temperature in the climate installations in the water in and out was pretty stable, but the motors were really pumping energy, like really overworking, And what they saw once they were on site after receiving that automated notification is that in the rooftop, the ventilation system, the in and out ventilation was against each other. So the heated air was recirculating there, and therefore, yeah, there was just a perception that the installation was not working, was totally renewed. So everything was new. So nobody understood what was happening. And the reason was that during the installation, one of the contractors just misplaced the ventilation of the climate system.
Oh, they were just going against each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and we had a great interview last week with one of our partners that really works with connecting to the BMS system, and what's so interesting is that buildings are so complicated. There's so much going on. There's, it's really challenging that I think platforms like yourself, they become that necessary checks and balance that needs to be put in place. And this smart building certification, we also like to play that role of checks and balances to make sure that, we're keeping everything, that it's working as it should. Because here the installation is working the way it should, but it's set up wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Really interesting. But so the companies that are taking this on as kind of a new way of thinking about it, are these new companies then? Because I think if I look at the traditional companies, the traditional installation, the traditional maintenance companies, I find that they're having a hard time kind of with that transition to digital and with different insight and different ways of doing it. It's like, I've done it this way for 40 years. I'm not going to change the way that I work. How do you read that situation? Do you see the traditional ones coming this route as well, or
funny enough, this example is a company that exists already, lots of years, I would say. Okay. So it's not a new company, but it is in the way they are seeing this is like like I said, they just build their own smart building team. So that tells you immediately who's the leader there and how does he think. But I would say I recognize what you say. Most of the market is still not in the installation market. I believe. I mean, it is not yet there. They are still in that old way of working. Something that I have done for years already. But that's gonna change. The ones that I've seen more is that are really changing the way of managing buildings, property managers. Those are the guys. Those are the companies. The new and the old. Where I see more innovation in that part. Where they want to say, hey, okay, what am I receiving my energy consumption in 1 month after in a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense for them anymore. So in that sector, I see more and more, adaptability, I would say, to these new technologies. Whilst the installation sector has a little more, more challenges, I would say.
So are you getting involved in those innovation discussions as you start to have these types of partners?
You mean with the installation companies or with the
these companies that are trying to figure this out? Are you involved? And then do you have some advice for ones that haven't started yet?
Yeah, good point. I've been involved in some sessions of these companies, but it's still, like I said, if the whole smart market in the last 8 years have increased and is really now more concrete and with more business cases, I believe the installation companies also moved with the market, but they have a delay. So therefore, they are not that frequently open to this kind of conversation unless there's a project involved. So
okay.
I will say, I will suggest, yes, and also an opportunity. What I will say is for companies that are all currently, they probably have heard in the bid that it is requested to do some kind of smart, whatever it is, that they approach companies so that they can start to understand that part and even try to, before even the project starts, really have an understanding of what's possible there, because there is business for them there. There is literally more revenue possible and reduction of costs for them as installation company towards a project, and in the future more market share. Yeah,
Because
you come back to the point that the people don't like change. So unless they are pushed by the government, for example, to really create this, really start doing something in terms of climate change, for example, it's going to be difficult that the mass moves together with the technology. But there are challenges. There are challenges and benefits. So it's just a question of trying.
Yeah. But I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time now, and what I get the feeling of is like the old school medium size, maintenance and management companies. They're kind of trailing the change, right? But I mean, when you trail the change, then you're still behind when you get there. So you've gone through this massive struggle to trail the situation. So how do you guys, I mean, when you're innovating, how do you create that balance between, being front, being stable, and still, tracking the market and making sure that you're relevant? Because it also doesn't make sense to go too fast sometimes, right? Sometimes you go too fast and I think you probably experienced that 8 years ago. You were first to market, in a new space with nobody who had a clue what you were trying to do. Like, as long as you can keep the lights on, you can stay alive,
Yeah.
But there is this challenge of being ahead of the curve, in the curve, behind the curve. How do you read it?
It is challenging. We have made mistakes in the past. I believe we've learned of that as well, and I totally agree on that part. So you don't want to be really that far ahead that nobody's buying, for example. Nobody really is interested in doing this, but you also don't want to be left behind. It's difficult, and I believe it's a question of constantly monitoring how the market is evolving. As I said, after 8 years, I'm sure that right now people understand more, the market understands more what the value here is. I remember the first conversation 8 years ago talking about even smart lighting, even that concept of getting light only when you need it. That was totally, amazing what the reaction was then. But now, right now, that's something really, if you don't have that, that is not. What was, sorry?
What was the reaction 8 years ago to that?
Yeah, again, everything went back to, okay, how much is that going to cost? How much is that going to cost? And what do we need? What kind of sensors, etc. But the reaction was really skeptic at the beginning. How is it possible to be able to achieve 90% energy savings? No, I don't believe it. But now, in the conversations that we have now, even lighting, again, as example of efficiency in climate installations, those are business cases that the market already knows. They are actually already expecting, okay, look, these are my targets. They have a specific watt consumption per square meter, and this is my goal in 2040, for example. So you see that the comprehension of the possibilities is already here, and even though individual markets was installation is a little bit behind, the market is ready. So again, it's a question of really doing, I would say, the homework of the customers. Is okay, I want to have, these are my expectations. I need an advisor that helps me identify what can I do with this, what can I achieve with smart. In that case, your role is really important for them as well. And when that happens, then invite 1, 2, 3 companies and really compare and see and really dig through. Not only because we say this is smart, just ask and ask and ask until you get to the nitty gritty, I would say, from the solutions, and then make a decision. There is no time. There is no time left. We don't have time left, and the market is ready, I would say.
Yeah. So then I want to take a minute to look forward. So we have this massive emergence of AI coming right now. I think ChatGPT just launched these new apps that you can build yourself on top of their framework, where you can have crowdsourced payment and all this stuff. So it's also about ourselves, you as a company, staying ahead of the curve. How are you guys seeing this opportunity or threat, or how are you guys playing into that, to this evolution?
Yeah, it is. In terms, you mean only of ChatGPT or something
No,
else?
just AI in general. I think that you guys are already doing a ton with it when it comes to autonomous changing to a building, based on insight. AI brings new functionality, I imagine, but yeah, just wanted to hear your read on it.
I think we fall back again in the previous comment you made. You don't want to be that far ahead that you don't have something that somebody wants to buy. AI is still being integrated in the smart building solutions that we have seen. And to be honest, the first step generates so much benefits that at this moment, at least, the additional benefit of AI is smaller than the first stage. So just by doing the first stage, where the market is right now, instead of looking ahead, that far ahead with AI, what we're gonna do, this should be the first step. The AI is going to add value. That's for sure. That's 100% sure. But that will be a new market within a new market. So that's again the balance that we need to find. Yeah.
And that's what we need to say often as well. And we do say it, is that, without that first step, you're not ready for that AI. You don't have the infrastructure in place to make the changes. So you have to start with the first step, and I really I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really like the culture of how you guys work. I like how you guys connect with your partners and your customers, the way that you engage with this transformation that's happening. It's not just delivering a technology, it's bigger than that. There's a lot more going on. And you recently launched a foundation as well next to your company, or in your company. I don't know how you see it, but your company is already doing a lot for the planet. It's all about energy optimization and making things better. So why even more? Tell us a little bit about this. Tell us about the foundation and where you're going with it. I think it's super exciting.
If I am totally honest, this came out from a mini crisis of myself.
Okay. Which we all have. That's a whole other podcast.
We can do it another time. But I just came to the realization, and I would say the realization of the market, like I said at the beginning, was only money. So the last 8 years has been a struggle with conversations with customers are not interested in their CO2 impact. They just want to see money.
Yeah.
Again, from my inexperience at that moment, I didn't like that part. So I started to get demotivated on doing this. So why am I standing up every morning? Why should I do this? Why should I invest my time, energy, sleepless nights, money in doing impact, whilst the other part is only interested in the money? So the foundation is my how you say that? I'm trying to refine that culture inside the company, to to see that we can still do a lot more of that. And I used to be a swimmer, so that's why I also combine that with sports. But what we did this year, and it's something we want to repeat every year, is to create a challenge. In this case, we're swimming 8 kilometers with 50 kilos of plastic in a little boat, which I swam for 8 kilometers in the middle of a storm. I didn't know the storm was coming, but we really helped that another company that is really from another angle in the sustainability, doing really interesting things in terms of plastic usability and knowledge for new generations. So we combine forces, and that's how the foundation was created. But again, was, I believe, more from a frustration from myself that exploded on this side, and we just want to take the next steps, as much steps as possible towards the same goal, and that is sustainability. And that's how it started.
But that's where all these organizations and ideas and companies come from, right? They come from a massive frustration that needs to be solved, and I think that's beautiful. And so you're going to do the swim again next year, which I think is crazy. Like, I don't know if you can go on our LinkedIn or you can go on the foundation website and see more about this challenge, but I don't know if you realize how big 8 kilometers with, how much were you towing? When you
50 kilos
50 kilos
kilograms.
Yeah. So are you planning on other
kind of ideally we want to do this once a year, and I will figure something out, something crazy. But I'd like to do something different every year, so we will see. You'll be the first one to know that.
Well, and I think, what got me thinking immediately when I saw that incredible challenge was that the collective is all kinds of companies and people and really amazing things going on. Is there not something that we can do with the collective that brings more of these types of focuses to the forefront? Because I think it's such an important aspect to our work, right? It's not only about money and technology and process and customers and these kinds of things. It's also about how do we live in our day-to-day life to make a difference, and focus.
I'm happy that you say that. We will see what happens and where this brings us. This time was just gathering money for the specific plastic recycling project. But my proposition was talking to companies inside the real estate and telling them about the idea, and telling them that they can do also more than they already do. That's how we got sponsors, and that is how it was possible for us to help this cause, let's say. Yeah. And I'm happy that we're only companies specifically focused in the real estate sector, which show that they can do more. And in the collective will be pretty much, I will expect the same, that they want to do more than they already are doing.
Yeah, 100%. Really, really nice. And it's so good for our entrepreneurial brains to be out doing something else besides working on our business, because working on it all the time is also a lot,
finding something challenging is always healthy, I would say. You find peace when you are the most challenged. Is what I've experienced, at least. I cannot. I meditate, but I cannot find the peace that I found at that moment when I was exhausted, when I couldn't turn my arm. That moment of realization. Okay, it's done. It's totally different. So that's for every entrepreneur in the collective. I would say, go and do hard things.
Yeah, and we are. And thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on all these successes. For master system integrators, for maintenance and management companies, for FM companies. Antonio is a fantastic sparring partner, as you've heard from this interview. Don't hesitate to reach out to him. And till the next time, we'll speak to you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you,
All right.
Nicolas.
Take care. Huh?
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.